I was your typical teenager. I mean, right before I was your typical teenager, and I had this awesome family that I never really appreciated. They were super cool. My parents are awesome, and we're a super active family, so we'd ski. I ski raced my whole life, and my dad taught me how to snowboard as well, and I played soccer, and I danced, and I have 2 younger sisters, and they're also dancers. And basically, it's just, it's your typical family behind the scenes, you know? Like when you meet us, you're like, oh my God, they're this beautiful, perfect family, but we're just like anybody else. I was a sophomore in high school, so I had been about a quarter into school, and yeah, it was still, football season was just ending. We had just had homecoming, and I had a boyfriend. But yeah, I was 15 years old. The week that it happened, I was at dance. I remember being late to class, and I was gonna just sit out and watch, but since I was late, everyone was like already doing the warm-up. I just figured I'd warm up with them. And right after warm-up, in the middle of the dance floor, it just snapped. My femur just broke. I couldn't believe it, because I didn't know what it was. I knew that I had been in pain. Everyone was trying to help me back up, like, oh, that was really funny, okay, are you okay? And I couldn't get back up. Well, I was primarily diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma, which is a bone cancer. But yeah, that was the initial diagnosis. And then it escalated to other things. First, I met who I consider my hero, and he is my doctor, my orthopedic doctor, orthopedic surgeon. And he came into I remember him coming in not in work clothes. He was in like casual clothing, and it was late at night, so he came in and he was like, hey, I just got a page, like, I'm Dr. Kevin Jones. You're probably gonna be seeing a lot of me. I don't remember exactly. I don't know if it was the next day or within that week. I found out that it was cancer, and I was in the hospital for a week, and then they gave me like a couple of days to regroup, and then I had to go in to the ICS unit at Primary Children's, and I started treatment. I had a lot of support. Obviously, my friends were fantastic. And there's phases, with people. Like, at the beginning, everyone's like very helpful and great and there, and if you need anything, you can ask anybody and they do anything for you, but slowly it wears off. Chemo was terrible. I remember that it didn't really hit me until my hair started falling out. Chemo made you feel like shit. Awful. It made you feel horrible, and your body's tired, and I'm really lucky that I don't remember a lot of it, because it's awful. But yeah, once your hair starts falling out, it's a different story. It's kind of like, oh shit, this is actually happening. When I was able to come back to school, I was still bald, and I had been separated from a lot of friends. So I went back to school, and it wasn't my original group. Not only did I change, but my friends changed too, and they spread out and did different things, and everybody knows you as the girl who had cancer, and you get treated differently. And it's not a bad thing, because you get treated really nicely, but people are afraid of you. I don't know if it's because they're afraid to even try and comprehend what you have gone through, or they're afraid that to get close because they don't know what could happen in the future. But it was hard because you have to like plant yourself back into, that world. And it's horrifying to say, but I sat alone a lot at lunch. From this girl who seemed to be so loved, I would get cards every week, at least, flowers and visits and everything. And then as soon as I'm back at school, it's like, okay. I think you learn that life is about change and everything changes. And so when it happens, when you don't want it to happen, it's kind of like you're not ready for it. And people grow and people change, and I think that's what it was, basically, and it just happened to be during a time where I was really vulnerable. When slowly people started letting me down, my parents were always there. So it's kind of like there was a pattern of like, oh, this person didn't show up today, and so I end up spending the day with my dad. Or this person came and I was asleep, and then I wake up to my mom, And my parents did this religiously. They slept at the hospital every night. They would switch off. I don't think I ever spent a night alone, except for maybe in my second diagnosis where I was a little more comfortable with the situation. I'd have friends sleep over. But every night I'd have either my mom or my dad, and they sat with me the whole time, through everything. I just learned that my time with them is so valuable, and like sometimes I'd have days where I'd think about like, what if I wasn't here? Like, how sad would that be for me, and how sad would that be for my family? How would they deal with it? Being with them, I realized how lucky I am, and to have a whole support family, and I realized that there's some people who have to go through this like without anybody. And it took me a long time to realize that. I mean, now obviously I sound like this wise owl, but no. But I wasn't always like this. So that was important to see that your family's there. I started the U, and I started with a really low course load. I took like 2 classes. One of my friends who's now a DG, she was like, go through Rush, it'll be really fun. And, part of me was like, oh my God, I'd never be a sorority girl. And the other part of me is, this would be a really good chance for me to start over, to make some new friends, and to start living my life how I want it to be. So I went through Rush. On preference night, I went to Kappa Kappa Gamma, which is the sorority at the U, and I fell in love with a place and a community. I found my home away from home, and I couldn't be happier, and they have changed my life, and I have someone, before I was so worried about being friends with people because I didn't want them to leave me again. And we have like sessions at Kappa where we, open up and talk about our fears and what we need help with or what we're doing really well. And I remember expressing to them that I was really terrified to be left behind again. And there was nothing like that feeling of these girls who are now my sisters telling me, you don't ever have to worry about that again. Like, we are always here. It's 5:30 a.m. I'm about to the hospital because I have to be there at 6. I'm just excited to get my cyst out of my leg. I don't even care. Not even worried about surgery. Just ambitious. Just
want to get it out.
Since the last time we talked, a lot has happened, and for one, I moved into the Kappa house, and that's where we are right now. And I love it. I love being here, and I'm in my element. I love my sisters, and living here is great. Health-wise, there have been some issues. I had a cyst growing in my leg, and I had it removed. When they went in and they looked at it, behind the cyst there had been a cavity in my bone, and they kind of looked at it and scraped it out, and it looked like there was some chronic infection in there. So that's probably the worst news I could get right now. And I always knew it was a possibility. It's always been a risk. Now that this is the case, I have the infection in my leg. The incision that I have on my leg is not closing, and it's oozing still, and it's been over a week. So that's not very good. What we have to do is, what I'm deciding to do, because it is the better option, is to amputate my leg. I went yesterday for the first time to go talk to a therapist because I want to be prepared. I want to be prepared for what I'm going to be feeling afterwards, and I want to be prepared for making sure that I don't regret my decision. And I don't see how, I can see how I would regret my decision when I wake up. That's like my fear, like waking up and being like, what did I do, you know? But my doctor thinks it's best, and I trust him so much. You know, I trust him with my life, and I have so many times that, like, it's kind of a no-brainer for me. I'm scared, but that's normal. And I worry, and I have nightmares, and I can't sleep at night, but that's also normal. What is normal? You know, there's no such thing, I don't think. But we'll see. I'm in a place where I have 100+ girls who love me and would love to help me in any way, and I think that's really important, because in the past I've been kind of isolated with everything. So knowing that I have this unconditional love around me is just such a support.
Today was insane. I had no idea that my sisters had planned this amazing event for me. I thought it was a different philanthropy event, and it was actually for me, so that was really cool. I think that today has prepared me for what's coming, and I know that I have all the support I could possibly need, not only from the Kappas, but from the Greek community and my family and all my friends. I've never felt more ready to do this, and I'm excited, as much as that sucks. I'm ready to do it.